Police have arrested a man in Florida in connection with the suspected pipe bombs that were sent to political figures, including Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. Today, two more explosive devices sent to a Democratic lawmaker and a Trump critic were intercepted by American investigators. American authorities, Democrat Cory Booker, who is considered to be one of the candidates for the presidential election in 2022, was one of the targets. The package addressed to him was found in Florida. The other package was found from a facility of the U.S. Postal Services in New York. It was addressed to James Clapper, the former director of National Intelligence. This package was supposed to be delivered to the offices of American news network CNN. Clapper often appears on this network as an expert and has been a critic of President Donald Trump. Joining us is WION's correspondent from New York, William Denslow. Good evening, William. First of all, what do we know about the man who's been arrested, and is he linked to all the cases that have come to light?
Well, essentially at this stage, very little information has been released by law enforcement in the United States. What we understand so far is this individual is believed to be in his 50s. The suspect is also believed to have a pre-existing criminal record. That is the information really released so far to the media here in the United States. Of course, very important to make the distinction that this is an arrest and he hasn't just been detained. The significance of that is that law enforcement believe they have credible evidence to go further with this process, so this is seen as going beyond just a line of questioning. So certainly a degree of confidence, it seems, from law enforcement that there is some evidence linking this suspect to this now a dozen packages that have been sent to a number of prominent Democrats or those that have been outspoken against President Trump. Of course, very important to state that in a few minutes' time we're expected to hear from the president directly, who sent out a tweet saying that he will be addressing these developments with this case. And we also can expect an update from the Department of Justice here in the United States in just a couple hours' time too. So we can expect plenty more of information to come out, but things very much progressing quickly on this Friday here in the United States.
Right. The profile of those targeted, William, all of them Trump critics, further vitiates, I understand, the political atmosphere in America at a time when we are looking at elections next month. How is that playing out?
Yeah, it's certainly playing out and certainly weighing heavily on the mind of the president. He's sent out a tweet on Friday morning here in the US, and essentially his message coming out was very much focusing on the midterms. He said that the Republican Party, his Republican Party, had made great gains when it came to early voting and the traction in the polls. But he said that this bomb that he put in quotation marks had very much derailed some of the momentum seen for the Republican Party. So the president clearly stating some of his concerns about the effect that this story has had or could potentially have on the Republicans when those head to the polls in just, 12 days' time in the US. Of course, the president has been subject to plenty of criticism throughout this week while these devices have been discovered here in New York and in other parts of the US as well. Of course, many very much criticising his divisive rhetoric in the past as being somewhat accountable. That, of course, something that the president has vehemently refuted. Now, I was in the US state of Wisconsin on Wednesday at one of the campaign rallies that the president held, and he used this opportunity to very much point the finger at what he described as the mainstream media as being the ones that are very much should be held accountable for their divisive rhetoric. Of course, it was at these types of campaign rallies that the president has drawn so much criticism in the past for using divisive rhetoric of his own. Of course, on Thursday, he then sent out a follow-up tweet, some of those messages given at that campaign rally in Wisconsin, saying that much of the anger caused in the United States was the fault of what he described as the fake news.
And beyond the political discourse and what's being discussed in television studios, how are people in general responding to these developments? Is there a sense of fear? Have additional security measures been discussed? Have advisories been sent out to people at large?
Well, essentially, lots is being done, of course, at these mail facilities like the ones in Florida, really clamping down on any kind of suspicious packages. The clear message that has been sent to the US public at large is that if you see any kind of suspicious package, the clear message has been don't take any chances. Make sure that if something piques your suspicions, if you have an uneasy feeling about a package, then to contact law enforcement. Don't try to interact with these kind of packages. In its 2 packages have been discovered on Friday. Officials say that there have been links and there are clear similarities with this other 10 packages that had been discovered throughout the week up till then. So clear messages there from officials. But in terms of the discourse in the United States, this certainly is really compounding a great amount of, I suppose, disappointment, if you want to look at it that way. The fact that it could be seen that the divide between Democrats and Republicans has got to such an extent that this kind of thing has manifest. Of course, that's the real message and the real feeling across large swathes of the US population. Of course, we've heard from the president calling for peace and harmony, so very much the hope from US officials that this transcends, especially as we come towards and we get closer and closer to an incredibly divisive midterm election.
Right. William Denslow, thanks very much for putting this in perspective and bringing us the very latest in the investigation. 1 person arrested in this case.